and welcome to Season 2 of Lather Talk, a wet shaving podcast. I'm your host, John, aka Lather Hog.
Hey, Gerard Shaves here.
And we're so happy, guys, to be back and rolling again. I think it took a little bit longer. I'll take the blame for this one, Gerard, as far as just getting organized, getting scheduled, and just starting the podcast up again. But I know we've still been talking throughout this break, and I'm just really excited to kind of catch up on the world of wet shaving and obviously how life is treating you, how fatherhood is treating you, and whatnot.
Definitely, I'm really excited. And so I think we're both ready for this.
Gerard, one thing I want to know is, I guess during this time between seasons, have there been any kind of wet shaving discoveries, whether it's on a technique, whether it's media related content, or even just pickups? What are some standouts for you since we last talked?
So a couple things are, I picked up my first straight razor. And so that's been interesting. I can't say I've used it too much, just a couple of times. But it's probably something I'm looking on kind of, learning, and it's completely different than just, using a DE. As many people would know, I think straight razors are just, I guess maybe like it's like driving an automatic transmission versus a manual, in a sense, like you're still shaving, it's just completely different technique altogether. So although you know what to do, it doesn't necessarily mean you can just go at it right away. There's a bit of a learning curve, of course. Other than that, it's just been pickups slowly here and there. Nothing outside the norm. It's actually been, if anything, it's been reduced, since the babies come around, because that's taking up so much more of my time and attention.
I didn't realize it was during this period that you picked up the straight razor. For some reason, I thought you already had it and then just recently kind of picked it back up again.
No. Yeah, I had borrowed one before and used it a couple of times, but other than that, I never had my own. I just told myself that the learning curve was going to be just too much than I could handle at the time, and opportunity came up, and I just was able to snag one, and every now and then I'll just fiddle with it. I'm only really doing just with the grain, and then just kind of working against the grain. I'm not really going across with it really right now.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, funny enough, I think my main update, and this is very very recent as far as the time of this recording, mid June, it's picking up straight razor shaving myself, and I've been informally chronicling that on Instagram. So if listeners check out my Instagram account, Latherhog, you can see my very first shave, which are our regular guest / host, Ross, helped me out with the first shave. He's a very adept straight razor shaver. And I think I have 3 down right now. And it turns out the initial razor I was going with, I must have dulled the edge or something. I've had them for at least a year, and maybe I goofed somewhere, doing some stropping or something. But it turned out it wasn't cutting very well, because when I tried a second straight razor that I have on loan, it's like night and day as far as how easily it cut. So I had a few things working against me, but I haven't had any major cuts yet. I think it'll happen once I feel more comfortable with it, but so far so good.
Yeah, I think the first time I used it, I got myself pretty good here, like on the neck. But since then, I've just been kind of just like, I've been deliberate with kind of like checking my angles, making sure it's not too steep, and so that I'm not just like literally slicing off a part of my face or anything during the shave. I think technique is probably the most difficult thing, but it's the most important thing to get with straight razor shaving, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, efficiency is not even the name of the game right now, right? I'm still figuring out angles. I'm figuring out grips, but it's really fun. And some folks were like, it might be a little crazy to have them to be doing it live, but I think through the live interaction, I've actually gotten a lot of tips. Granted, I'm not like always looking on the screen and stuff, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of a little cheering section too. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. We'll see. Like one thing that was recommended was doing 30 days straight. So I can't commit to that, but maybe eventually I'll get to straight razor shave number 30 and see. Hopefully, I'm still alive. But also we'll see how far along I am.
Or you'll just do a video just completely, your head just is just wrapped up in like rolled gauze, just blood like just coming through. Your mouth is just, gagged basically. And that's probably what's going to happen. And you're just going to be like, here.
It'll be a Gerard solo show for a little bit.
The viewership and listeners count is going to drop severely. They're just going to be like, we can't listen to this guy.
Yeah, I mean, even with the podcast, I think we did weekly, and for the most part, I think we might have missed some here and there, but really pushed that just to get this thing up and running. And at the end, this little recap for those it's been a while, but we did a recap, me and Gerard, and kind of just reassessed everything. I know for me, doing weekly along with other projects and in personal life, being a dad, working, etc. It was I think something I wanted to tweak, and so this time around with season 2, we're doing every other week. Whether that winds up being like week 1 and 3, or just literally like from episode to episode, it'll just be every other week. Remains to be seen. But either way, to give some breathing room, hopefully room to make the show better on the editing side, post-production. In general, we're always seeking to improve, and on top of quality, we want to be bringing with the season to guests, especially with the feedback from our viewership. And I know one thing I had a lot of fun with is the roundtables, and being able to get folks, whether they're artisans, content creators, just other folks, and get a conversation going. This is, it's called Lather Talk. So it kind of makes sense that those roundtable discussions really jive with me.
Definitely. I think when we started it, we had no idea what we were doing in the beginning, and we kind of just like went with momentum, right? And so, going every week, it was pretty nice, but at the same time, it's just, it's just incredibly tiring because, like even though the show itself may be about this may be an hour, for example, right? But that's not including like, the stuff that either gets cut, maybe we're really on for 2 hours and then you have to edit, and that's like, a few hours to invest there. And then we're already like, planning on the next person investing more time into the next, episode or the next discussion. And it took off so quickly that I think we're just like, let's just go with it. Let's just see where this goes. And now we have to be able to, just to prevent burnout and, prevent you editing, stuff at like midnight, 1 a.m. the day before it's supposed to, be released.
It's happening.
Then, we have to take ourselves first. Otherwise there is no show, right? There is no podcast. But I think, we'll see. Again, we'll see if this works. Maybe it's the same amount of energy in the long run. Maybe we realize that we can take a little bit more on, and then we, try to do something a little bit more frequent or different content within a shorter time span on the off weeks. Who knows? We'll just see where this is going.
Well, let's segue into the next topic of conversation, and let's talk about what's new in the world of wet shaving. So the first thing that is kind of a manifestation of one of the predictions we had back in season 1 was more collaboration between perfumers and wet shaving artisans. So again, at the time of this recording, what just got released and kind of I think sold through its initial run, and this is not a limited edition, is Gentleman's Nod and Zarahoff Signature. Zarahoff being the perfume house, and there's a lot that went into this release.
I was fortunate to get a sample of it, which smells fantastic. Legitimately, it smells excellent. I haven't had a chance to use it yet, so I can't really speak upon performance or anything like that. But I can just say I'm not surprised, right? I think especially in a time of, whether you want to say it's like, this COVID era or anything like that, people aren't able or drastically reduced in being able to go out and shop and buy stuff, especially, like personal grooming items, fragrances, things like that. That is not necessarily on the list of priorities that people have, over like food and water and paying the bills and stuff like that. So I think perfumeries and soap makers to a certain degree are understanding that those worlds are crisscrossing, very much so. And it just benefits both people or both parties to be able to collab and do something, a full line of things. And we've seen that before with a lot of groups, like most notably Declaration Grooming and Chatillon Luxe, Alexandria Fragrances with Ariana and Evans. We've also seen Zingari Man with Byron Parfums. There's like a long list of artisans and perfume houses that are doing small batch collaborations, things like that. Oh, Chiseled Face and Zoologist, of course. Like, what am I thinking? I want to put that out there because they're probably like one of the first, like big notable names, and stuff like that. So I think you're going to see. I definitely think it's not a fad. It's not something like that. You are going to see perfume houses, reach out to artisans and come up with things like this. And, I think that both sides are going to really like benefit from it, right? People who are into fragrances, they will see this and be like, oh, I didn't even know that there was such a thing for my grooming needs, right? And at the same time, people who are slowly, wanting to dip their toes into the world of fragrance from wet shaving are going to be able to say, oh, this isn't just a clone of something. This is the real deal. So if I buy it, it's going to smell hopefully just like this.
Yeah, totally. I mean, when I first heard about this specific collaboration, so the fragrance Zarahoff signature, it's something that the perfumer had available, I think, just to get the name out there, right? If we think there's a lot of wet shaving artisans, the amount of perfumes, both in the designer and niche categories, is astounding, right? So it's really hard.
And independent ones as well. Like it's crazy.
So it's really hard, right, to get on people's radars when there's releases all the time. If we thought we felt that with wet shaving, it's even crazier with fragrances. On top of that, and how I experienced the fragrance firsthand was you could go to the website and ask for a free sample in the mini sprayer. So it's not even the ones that kind of you got to dab on your wrist. This is the one with the mini sprayer. I think it winds up being like 2 milliliters or so. Either way, a nice size sample that came carded and sent to you if you just requested it via the website. So when I smelled it, immediately I thought, like, this has got to be a fragrance in wet shaving, because it's essentially an updated take on the fougere. So it has a similarity to Brut, which it's kind of what I think for as I don't like Brut at all, actually. But as far as what a fougere is, I think it's a great example. And there's just everything from there is kind of a variation. They up one note and play down another, add this, add that, and make it their own. But the fact that it's a fougere, it's got a little barbershop-like quality because of that, a little bit of powderiness. It's a very masculine scent and a little bit of a throwback. It has a little bit of an old school appeal to it.
I was looking at it. I was looking up the notes of it. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. I mean, the top notes we have fresh cardamom, lavender, black pepper, juicy pear, and blue cypress. The heart notes We have ginger roots, blonde cedar, temple oud, Florentine iris, pimento leaves, and fir balsam, and bottom notes of creamy sandalwood, gold patchouli, black amber, myrrh, and frankincense. And I mean, it goes to show, especially like where all of these notes are sourced from as well. So it does smell. It smells fantastic. I'm sure the performance is just top notch. So many people are just commenting on how good of a base, Gentleman's Knot is. And so, I mean, I'm not surprised that, they were able to get that collaboration going. I'm just saying, I do not think it's going to be the last one. And I think it's only June. I wouldn't be surprised if you see 2, 3, 4 more collaborations, between artisan soapers and perfume houses or independent perfumers. I remember talking about this, I think in season 1, and I've always been just saying this, that I don't know if we're approaching a singularity, if you will, as far as just like artisan soap bases and what can be considered just a fantastic thing to use, because so much stuff is so good. I find myself, kind of dipping more and more into the fragrance world, as it is. And I think wet shaving has been a really good path to transition to that. I've, various like decants and things like that from places, just to be able to like try some stuff going on. And it's definitely different. It's definitely like unique in that sense. But I think it's allowing me to expand my hobby in a different way. I'm quite active on Reddit. And so, I mean, that's no surprise to a lot of people. I was active on Reddit in general well before I was ever active into the actual shaving subreddits. Primarily our wet shaving. I'm casually in Wicked Edge as well. But user Wytham is just fantastic in, kind of grabbing fragrances that either complement or that are directly from, an artisan perfumer, or maybe there was like a dupe of something. Most recently, they had a collaboration, exclusive collaboration with Summer Break Soap's Prom King, which was a dupe of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male. And because of that, I grabbed a small little decant of Le Male, picking this up for say 12, 15 bucks. I don't remember what I paid for this, rather than dropping 50, 60 on a designer bottle, or dropping who knows what, like into the hundreds, like for a full bottle. It's just really nice, really pleasant. I just definitely think it's not even going to be a trend. It's just going to be something that becomes common. We're going to be wondering, oh, when was the last time, a company was just trying to put out their own stuff and not collab with a perfume house or a fragrance house.
There's a release coming out from Noble Otter called Rawr, R-A-W-R.
I think it would be Rawr. Rawr. If a child was gonna say it.
So anyway, Rawr has a fantastic label. In general, I've been loving all of Noble Otter's label work. I think it's since last year even. I forget the name of the illustrator they work with, but I have multiple decals of the various otters in different dress. What has already sold me on getting this, regardless of what the scent notes are, which are also sound very good, is the story behind it. And just to summarize it real quick, the description of this soap is kind of the memory of coming home from work, and I assume this is written in Cody's perspective and that he wrote it himself, but that his sons will always try to hide and scare him, despite hearing them running, to hide wherever they're trying to hide. Probably like a foot is sticking out from around the corner and whatever, and that being the ritual. But it's such a heartwarming picture that I painted. I think for dads everywhere, me and Gerard included, it's hard that for it not to tug at your heartstrings.
It's literally the year of first, right? For at least for me. Yeah, first son, first Father's Day. It's going to be like, the first birthdays, the first Thanksgivings, the first Christmases. And so I just think it's a really like classy nod to dads everywhere for this, and although I'm literally in the beginning of it, I'm not even at the point where, you can play hide and seek or anything like that. Yet he can literally just lay on his back and cry. He can't even crawl yet. I think that just that's going to connect with so many dads out there. So many of them are just going to be like, I remember when my kids did that.
Yeah.
Or my kids are currently doing that.
Right.
And this is going to be a release that, that just, speaks to them. And it's going to be something that when they smell that soap or when they, they put on that splash, that they're going to be thinking about their kids every single time. That's just a really beautiful thing. I'm not going to try to force my son to get into soap collecting as a hobby, right? It's, there's other weird things that he can get interested in instead, right? But yeah, I want him to know like how to be able to shave, out of both convenience, practicality, and just to know like this is a way that like us men can pamper ourselves. Ladies, well, men too, like can go get manicures, pedicures, go get their hair done. They can go get their makeup done. They can like do things, and this is just kind of like our way of really kind of deriving pleasure out of the grooming element. The mundane grooming element for many is really pleasurable for us. So I think that's it. If he just doesn't hate shaving, then I think I'm going to have done a good job as a dad.
I don't expect my son to be an enthusiast, but yeah, like I struggled, man, through using, I don't know which I used first, an electric or cartridge. I definitely went back and forth between the two from high school into college. If I can help even a little bit, and he gives it a try. If he doesn't like it, that's fine. But I feel like because we've played around with shaving brushes and like, hey, smell this soap, and they know when a package comes in, they're like, oh, is it your shaving stuff, Dad? Like, yeah, it is. You got it, kids. Like they know I'm into it, and there's an easier bridge already established.
My dad's into sports teams. Well, my dad's into soap. My dad collects jerseys and baseball caps and sneakers. My dad collects soap. That's what's gonna be.
And brushes. Don't forget brushes.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for the first episode of season 2 of Lather Talk. So again, me and Gerard are very excited to be back. We have some great guests that we have lined up, some topics that we want to get to with said guests. We hope to bring you some insight with kind of some crazy amount of releases, really, in the world of wet shaving. Now that the warm weather's hit, I don't know, Gerard. It just seems like there's tons of releases being announced all the time. And while we won't get them all, we'll get some of them, and we can share with you some of that experience. But we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and we'll catch you next time. So stay safe and take care.
Peace.